Hi,
Welcome
Arden.
to the Arden Museum of Arts.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Hannah.
Um,
Pleasure.
as people jump on, I just want them to know that we are at the Norton Museum of Art. You can't hear me?
I'll tell you when you talk. Yes.
Thank you for being here on a busy day. I know it's there's a lot going on at the museum, your show. We're at the Norton Museum of Art in West Palm Beach, Florida. And can you give us a sense of where we are and how it is in Florida today?
Where are we in Florida? We are in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay. And maybe introduce us to the museum.
Okay. This is the Norton Museum of Art. It was founded in 1941 by a steel industrialist by the name of Ralph Norton. And we are standing in front of the 2019 renovations and expansion that was done by that was done by Lord Norman Foster. Is that right, Sir? Lord. He's a knighted architect, and I think one of our most prized possessions, what's really become a brand of the institution, is the Claus Oldenburg typewriter eraser from 1999. And also the banyan tree. The banyan tree is around 85 years old, about the same age as the museum itself. And you'll see that when Foster and Partners were designing the building, they designed the building completely around the tree. So the canopy of the roof is cut out to accommodate the tree.
Incredible. It's a little bit hard to hear you, so I think we should.
Okay, well, when we go inside, it'll be a little easier.
Yeah, let's start to go inside so I can talk to you a little better.
So you'll see that we have a school group that's coming out of the museum right now, and we are a huge center of education here at the museum, and that's one of our main community outreach programs that we do. Every day you'll see dozens and dozens of children and school groups coming through the museum. So we're waiting for them to exit, and then we will go in. All right, welcome to the museum. We're going in.
Thank you.
Can you hear us all right?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Norton Museum of Art. So we're walking through the main corridor, and we have our wonderful gift shop here. A curated selection of items that often complement our exhibition program. And we have some great local artisans that and makers that have objects for sale, and jewelry and books and some wonderful gifts. So definitely check that out if you ever come to the Norton. I'd say it's one of the best ones I've seen in the country.
Oh, wow.
So here we are again in the Fabricants Gallery. We got this awesome work by Sabdagupta. It's a giant bucket where he makes these quotidian objects and blows them up to a large scale. So today's a busy day at the museum. You're going to see a lot of our guests. Hopefully they're okay being on screen and more unintended issues.
It's nice.
So let's go forward.
Nice to see the museum full on a Friday morning.
So nice to see the museum full on a Friday morning.
Yes. Actually, we've this time of year is one of our busiest times of year and our busy season, and especially the last couple of weeks, we've had an increase in our visitor numbers and just hit new record highs. The museum is, I'll say, in general, the museum is in a really amazing growth spurt, an amazing moment of now getting national recognition. So we're very proud of our institution and proud of the work that we're doing and to be able to share with our enthusiastic community. So this is the entrance. This is what we call Harris Colonnade, and we are in the middle of some installation movements. This is typically where we house the contemporary collection, the permanent collection, and typically objects that are sculpture or three-dimensional.
Okay.
Relief style. It's this beautiful indoor-outdoor feeling where it connects our sculpture garden to our inside galleries.
And can we get a look?
I can't hear her, so you have to tell me.
Sorry, you just went out, Hannah?
Okay.
Can you tell us what you just said?
Yeah, I'd love to see the signage for the show and have her introduce the show before we go in.
Absolutely. So this right here is the entrance, we'd like to say the main entrance to the exhibition, Strike Fast, Dance Lightly, Artists Unboxing. And we kind of have a little bit of a teaser moment here. We have a video from the Library of Congress that has some amazing old found footage of two sisters boxing, two brothers boxing, and two cats boxing.
Fantastic.
It provides a little bit of a humorous entry point. And then we have these great ceramic gloves by Krzysztof Straczynski right here. So to welcome you into the show, welcome you in. We have this amazing sign made by a Florida-based sign maker, really to kind of emphasize that idea of the feeling of the gym, the feeling of sports arena, kind of get you into that hyped up spirit of what boxing is. So this exhibition is called Strike Fast, Dance Lightly, Artists on Boxing. And this is a project that I conceived about 4 years ago. And I found out that some other organizations were also looking at artists on boxing, and we decided to partner. And so what we have here is a completely unique exhibition model. It has been 3 individual exhibitions with 3 individual curatorial visions.
Okay.
And together we made a book, and we shared the same title, which we decided on collaboratively. And it's been this amazing experience of collaboration and cross-marketing and just a lot of love and support around this whole exhibition project. So I am very excited. Our book will launch in New York City on March 12th. So also another great part of this project is that the book has its own life beyond the exhibitions. It's very inclusive, and it's just a great resource for looking at this subject matter.
Can't wait to see that. Mariah, Arden, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to congratulate you on the show because it's such an in-depth survey. So it's so inclusive of so many people, of artists ranging from, around the world, and using also a subject that draws so many people to it that normally wouldn't necessarily go to a museum to look at fine art. And there's something about the sport of boxing that's compelling different stratas, different parts of society. And I saw you on CBS Morning, getting a lot of buzz and attention. So I'm excited for you and to decide the actual show and take a look at what you've put together.
Thank you so much. Yes, we've been very proud. One of the kind of the impetus for me to do a show like this is really runs deep personally for me, is the desire to push art into the greater cultural landscape and social landscape. I have a background in socially engaged art and social practice.
Right.
So this exhibition very much aligns with my own interests in that. I mean, I really attribute it to boxing being so universal. That it's really a worldwide understanding of what boxing is. So I think that that's also why we see so many artists from so many different places and different generations taking up the aesthetics of boxing as a kind of metaphor for free speech within their work.
Amazing. Well, let's look at work.
Okay. So right now there are a lot of people in the museum. So I'm going to warn our Instagram Live community that so maybe it will be like zooming in on the art, and then you might hear my voice over when we look at those objects. So maybe less of me and more art. We entered the exhibition in the locker room. So the locker room is very much a part of that warming up, getting ready for the fights. We've conceived the exhibition in 11 sections that take you through the viewing experience. And in the locker room, you are addressed by the essential elements of the sport, the body, and the tools. Let's go.
Okay.
So here we are inside of, there's some lecture right now, which is a fabulous part of programming here at the museum. So this is our wall of Faith, I'm really sorry, we're doing Instagram live right now, so I wonder if I can just, I can speak, you guys can listen to me for a second. Sure. You don't mind. Sorry, I'm really sorry to do this to you. No, okay, so we have now entered into the, perhaps Faith already said this to you, but sorry. This is the locker room. We very much designed the whole experience around feelings of what it would be like to be inside of a locker room, warming up. We painted the walls a slick white, kind of almost sweaty experience. We put fluorescent lights up. We have these benches that you see in any locker room or any gym. And what you experience when you're in here are the body and the tools. So this is our wall of tools. You see examples of the glove, of the punching bag, of the headgear. And each of these objects are very much, I'd say, linked to the artist's personal experiences. So we have this work here by Johan Sorin, who is a Franco-Caribbean artist. His grandfather was a famous boxer in Paris. And what he's done here with his, boxing is a continuous thread through his practice. And what he's done here is he's embellished his boxing gloves with these jingle jangles, sort of in reference to Carnival culture and the celebrations that happen in the Caribbean during the month of February and March.
Okay.
We have a work by Dimitri Broxton. Dimitri is an artist who lives and works now in San Francisco, but his research is around the African diaspora, and namely the transatlantic slave trade and the blending of cultures that happened in the United States during that time. And what he's done here is he's sort of blending contemporary Black culture, where he's put lyrics by Lauryn Hill. They say, "How you gonna win when you ain't right within?" She's a very famous R&B artist. So again, kind of bringing up his own research, his own interests into the work, and then claiming that back through the aesthetics of boxing.
Yeah, I love the quality of all of these.
Power.
Shows the materiality of all of these
I
works.
do too. And this has been so exciting to design this wall. On this case, Milo did. These are eggshells found from all different. She's made a series of these works. These are eggshells from different birds and different chickens. And it says "Boom Boom Butterfly," and this is in the shape of a butterfly. You can kind of see it. And then the shadow. All of this is very much intentional and part of her display tactic.
And what's the artist's name?
Milone Din.
Okay.
She's a great artist and someone to really look for. She's of Vietnamese descent, born in Vietnam, actually. We have our body represented over here, or lack thereof. This great work by Daniel Arsham. You can just feel the presence of the body. Of course, everyone's very excited about Mike Tyson these days.
Right.
A large drawing by Sean Leonardo, who's a fabulous artist. Again, someone who's very interested in the sport of boxing.
An incredible drawing.
Yeah, he's got two works in our exhibition. Both are in reference to the sport of boxing and the history of boxing.
Okay.
So not only do artists gravitate towards their own narrative and kind of highlighting that through the aesthetics of boxing, but in other cases, a lot of artists like Todd Pavlisco, they look at boxers themselves in the history of boxing, what those figures might represent. In this case, this is Joe Louis.
Okay.
And perhaps after a fight, where he is maybe spitting up his mouthpiece, or maybe blood, maybe a tooth. And what Pavlisco has done is he's put rubies and jewelry. I guess it's a chain, a gold and silver linked chains.
Fantastic. I'd love a closer look of that. Piece. Joe Louis, an iconic figure. hopefully most. Wonderful.
So we're gonna go over here.
There's a great Derek Adams. Is that
Right.
what?
This is the work by Derek Adams, who again was looking at Mike Tyson when he was making this.
Okay.
He also is really interested, an artist who's very interested in architecture. So the boxer here is represented as a building. This is like brick house kind of metaphor that's happening with the idea of the champ on top. This work here is by Elliot Peirce. We love this work. This work was actually commissioned by the Flag Art Foundation, our partner in this exhibition project. And Elliot made this work for the exhibition. And what we have here is looking at the idea of the seated boxer. Again, that's a common reference throughout this exhibition. The poet who wrote the poem where we derived the title of the show is also looking at the seated boxer, which is in the National Gallery in Rome. And what he said here is he's made his boxer marble and really thinking about those ancient Roman sculptures.
Okay.
And he has, really played with scale and the ideas of masculinity and male sexuality and our emphasis on the body and the physical form. He's pierced the nipples. He has, I love the play with scale and the small whiskey glass here. There's the cigar, perhaps our boxer is celebrating something or taking a break. We're not sure.
Is that veining on his skin or the marbling? Is that?
Sorry?
Is the texture on the skin, it's hard to read. Is that veining or marbling or something?
Is it marbling?
It's a painting, actually. I mean, he's a very technical painter. He's able to get that aesthetic just with his use of paint. It's one of the techniques of his practice. He often paints in this aesthetic.
Fantastic. I think that Glenn or Serrano we'd love to look at.
Under Serrano.
Happy to show you that. This is a work by Andreas Serrano. This is Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s hand. This was taken in 2006. And Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a boxer that is undefeated and also one that came into prominence and into fame during the pay-per-view era.
Okay.
And often see him photographed with women and money and kind of this ostentatious, flamboyant media personality. And what I really appreciate about what Serrano has done here, you have to just tell them. What Serrano has done here is he's pared back his subject. He's reduced him just to the hand. And that's all we see is that essential element that is Mayweather's tool. And,
right.
That's really contributed to Mayweather's success. And I also really appreciate seeing the lifelines here. Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s father and grandfather were both famous boxers.
Okay.
So it's great to see sort of that lineage through the body itself.
It's a great piece because you don't know more than that to know that he's a boxer, to see those wraps and his hand, his tool. So
This, maybe somebody can tell them that we're just recording all of them. I feel bad. This is a work by Glenn Ligon. And this is from a series that he did in 1995, actually, called Skin Tight. And he made this in collaboration with the Fabric Workshop and Museum in Philadelphia. So these are like his early boxing experimentations. He's since gone on to make a lot more works on boxing that are very much in his signature style where he uses language. But in this case, you see the beginnings of that. He's turned his Everlast logo to say Thug Life. And what we've decided to show are 2 of the works of 8 from this series. I just really appreciated these 2 and being displayed in this way that represents maybe an exhausted body or a body bag, which really would align itself with Glenn Ligon's consistent and continual investigation of Black culture and racial discriminations in the United States.
Yeah, I love the way they're in repose against a wall. It says a lot. Are they always in that way?
Yes, he and also Glenn Light on Studio gave me permission to show these two like this way. It was really great. They saw my vision and they very much were in support of us just showing them like this within the context of the locker room, the body, and the tools.
And this
yes.
hints at later work, the show about race and culture very beautifully.
It hints at later work in the show about the race and culture theme.
We don't have his work. This is the only work by him in the show.
I mean the overall
right.
That we
the
see.
theme.
Of course, we can talk more about that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna move into the next gallery now. Okay?
Yes.
I hope this is working, Hannah.
So now,
okay, great. So we're in the gallery that we like to call practice and posture.
okay.
So these are these moments where you're kind of gearing up for the fight, you're getting ready. I feel like I need to go closer. You're getting ready for the fight. You see images of boxers with their dukes up. That might be used for promotional material for the fight. Like you can show this Chase Hall work here. That's a great example. That work was actually used in the Metropolitan Opera's 2023 opera called Champion. This was the headline image of it. And who that is that is Emil Griffith, who was a famous boxer in the 1960s.
Okay.
And the Metropolitan Opera was all about the life and the biography of Emil Griffith. So this was a really big honor for Chase Hall to be selected to make this work, and it's an even greater honor for us to be able to have this at the Norton and to show this work as part of our exhibition.
Yeah, it's really a striking, cool piece.
It's an amazing piece. Also, when we talk about practice in relation to this section of the exhibition, I love to highlight the work of Dion Arbus. This is very un-Arbus-like, where you see a almost candid photograph made by her. Often her work has a lot more posing. Her subjects are posing, but in this case, she's captured a boxer training in the gym in New York City in 1964. This beautiful, intimate moment of him maintaining his sport and his exercise. And sort of, I love looking at that in complement with the work by Jared McGriff, excuse me, by Jared McGriff. This work was made in 2023, I believe, or 22, just recently in the last few years. And what this is an aging boxer. This is the boxer who's keeping up with his routine every day. It's a diptych. So we see two images of the same man. In a way, it's a metaphor for what this whole exhibition is about. It's about life. And in the end, we're just boxing ourselves. And it's kind of the internal struggle is with ourselves. And I love how Jared has chosen to portray them in this. His stylization is very referential to the French artists of the Navi school, such as Pierre Bonnard and Edouard Pierre.
I don't know if Arden, if you could be close to Arden, but I'd like to say this is an interesting look for boxing painting because it's kind of soft and subtle and quiet, and we often don't think about aging of sports figures that really give themselves to a sport for a specific time of their life, but then, move on and are not acknowledged anymore. But to me, is a very moving piece or diptych.
I agree with what you say. I think that's exactly right, and I think that's what Jared was trying to say when he made this work. Boxing is, again, a continuous thread throughout his practice. He's made many paintings of boxers, and they're not always, a boxer of this generation, of this moment of their lives. So I really very much appreciate this one, and that's why this one is the work in this exhibition. This is a great piece to discuss. This is a work by Yoshino Shinahara,
Yeah,
who's a Japanese artist. This work here. And he's a really cool artist. He's coming from a performance-based background, and he was working in the 1980s and 70s in New York City, sort of the loft era. And what he does is he literally takes his boxing gloves, dips them in paint, and punches to make these canvases. And so in the end, we get these, the final product of this canvas, but so much of the work is like, so much a part of the work, like a huge element of the work is the performance. He is a performance artist for all intents and purposes. And we've removed the frame from this work. That was an intentional curatorial decision. I really wanted the viewers to be able to get close to it and personal and really understand that intimate quality that he has with it while he's making this work, that sort of free form and improvisational aspect of this work, hugely part of that project and process. This here is one of the, I'd say, most visited and like talked about works in this kind of exhibition. This is a work by Harry Benson.
Oh yeah.
1964. This is a work. This picture shows Cassius Clay with the Beatles at the Fifth Street Gym in 1964. This was the Beatles' first visit to the United States.
Incredible.
And they wanted to meet Sonny Liston.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Sonny Liston wasn't available to meet them. So they had to meet the runner-up, this young guy named Cassius Clay. And they were all put inside of a gym, the Fifth Street in Miami Beach, in the Fifth Street Gym. They were all placed inside of a ring, kind of like, their handlers placed them there. And they were meant to sort of have this communication for the camera itself. And Harry Benson was able to get this iconic photo. And, a couple days later, Ali would go on to become the heavyweight champion of the world. And a few years after that, he would change his name to Muhammad Ali. And he would soar to humongous heights of fame. And I'd say that today, the fame of Ali might surpass the fame of the Beatles.
He might be more recognized in the world.
I'd say more recognized cross-generationally, yes. And Ali is so much more than a boxer. He was an activist. He was an artist. He was a poet. He was a musician. And he was an amazing orator and organizer. So one of the things I did try to do was stay away from too much Ali, because he does tend to dominate a lot of the narratives around boxing and boxing imagery.
Absolutely.
So I did try to highlight other boxers where possible, although this one is another work by Ali. What I love about this is by Andy Warhol from 1978. What's great about this is it's very un-Andy Warhol-like. It's a little bit more painterly, a little bit more sketchy. I believe it's a study for Interview Magazine that he made from a Polaroid. He took a number of Polaroids of Ali on the same year in 78. So I believe that he used those Polaroids to make this great image.
Is that a print or an original painting?
It's an original painting, yeah. It's very, very different for Warhol. So it was kind of exciting to be able to discover this through one of our amazing supporters here at the museum. So much of this work, all of this work, there's 120 objects in this exhibition, and so much of it, most of it, comes from museums and private collections. So actually all of it comes from museums and private collections. And sometimes the artists themselves, actually, yeah.
Can we take a look at the one to your to the right, actually?
This one, Derek Forger.
Derek Forger, yeah. I really
Sorry, ladies.
This is a work by Derek Forger. It really really lends itself to a close investigation.
Let's.
It's made from cardboard, from pieces of scraps of newspaper, from gold foiling painted on top. This is a collage work made from layers and layers and layers of materials being built.
Who is the subject?
The subject is called Jamestown Champ. It's an anonymous figure,
Okay.
but Derek Forger is of Ghanaian descent. So in Ghana, boxing is a huge part of their culture. There's a lot of representations of boxers from Ghana or artists from Ghana in this exhibition. And so we have here a Jamestown Champ. So there he is. And Forger doesn't typically paint one subject, so that's why this painting is so unique and so special. We feel so proud to be able to be custodians of this work.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Textures are really.
It's definitely one that our visitors and our collectors that come in are sweating when they come see it. There's a lot of inquiries about pricing and who can buy what here. So we can't forget that element of this exhibition too. There's a marketplace for all of this amazing art.
How old is the
How old is that one?
generation?
Oh, what year was
Forger?
it made? 2019.
But Ryan, does she know like how old he is?
Oh, Derek
How
Forger?
old Derek Forger is?
Derek Forger was born in 1974, so
Okay.
50 years
My
old.
generation. Okay.
So this is, we're going to move sections
Right.
now. Okay. This is a section that we call In the Ring. We really explore the critical moments, probably the most important minutes of a boxer's career happen in this setting. We have anchored the exhibition, or this grouping, with a work by Sherwin Rio. Sherwin Rio is a Filipino-American artist, and in this case, he's exploring his heritage. He's put the fans in the center. The fans are meant to represent two boxing figures, and he has placed them inside of a ring that's made of twine and bamboo, very much in reference to his island cultural heritage, and to a game that is practiced in the Philippines called tinkling.
Okay.
What this game is it's bamboo shoots, dried bamboo shoots are placed on a floor, and it's a partnered dance sport, and one dancer is meant to avoid getting hit by the bamboo shoot. So a lot of references to boxing happen with the exploration of tinkling.
Oh, so there's a connection here between dance and boxing.
So there's a link between dance and boxing?
Absolutely, and we can explore that a little bit more in our movement section.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, the idea that a boxer must be as skilled defensively as offensively plays a lot into this. The terms, the sweet science was attributed to this idea that it is a strategy and that there is a dance to this. And we like to link the title of our exhibition, Strike Fast, Dance Lightly, to Muhammad Ali's famous float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this idea of being light on your toes, of being able to maneuver around the ring, to be able to avoid the punches as well as put forward the punches.
Yeah, this is an incredible piece. I love how light the materials are for something for the Rio piece. I love the lightness of the materials and the light fans that are so conscious of how we think of boxing.
Yes.
I like to highlight this work because this is such a cool work. This is by Neil Leifer. This is a photograph made in 1966. And what this is Leifer placed, you can kind of maybe go back a little bit, you can see what's happening. Leifer placed a medium format camera in 1966 on the rafters centered above the ring. And this is 1966. There's no Bluetooth here. There's no, digital cameras. He had a wire and a clicker. Wow. And so he clicked this at the exact right moment that Ali knocked down Cleveland Williams in 1966. And what we see here is their poses are mimicking one another. We have Ali celebrating with his hands in the air, and we have Williams down and flattened in defeat there. And this is the referee. I love this image because it reminds me of a work by perhaps a photographer like Andreas Gursky, who often stages his photographs.
I get the chills because it's so remarkable that he captured a moment like this on a film camera.
Yeah.
It's just
medium format, amazing. It's such a striking image. And then we can talk about the Boafo. Well, we have this great little Basquiat. We have Jonas Wood piece. That's fabulous. This is actually an image of Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns was a champion middleweight boxer from Detroit, and he used to practice at the gym called Prop Gym. And again, this is the artist's own exploration with the history of the sport and some of these figures that have been inspirational to him. And we often see these figures keep coming up because they mean something to the artists themselves. This is a great little work by Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh, that's fun.
It's really fun. It's very clean for Basquiat, straightforward. But again, there's always this sense of humor in his work. Pretty great. We'll talk about the George Bellows, I guess, now. This is a great Liechtenstein. Sweet Dreams movie.
Mariah, we have a question. Would Arden mind answering a question?
Would you mind answering questions? So I was wondering if any of the works are made specifically for this show, or if the show has been curated based on all existing works.
So the answer is the second part of the question, that the exhibition has been curated based on existing works. And for the Flag Art Foundations, when they presented their exhibition on boxing, their version of Strike Fast, Dance Lightly, they commissioned a number of works.
Okay.
The only one that we brought forward into our exhibition is the Elliott Purse, which I showed you in the other room on our body section.
Okay.
So that's the only one I brought forward from their commissions. But in some cases, like with Rosemary Cromwell and with Yolan Sorin, I have personal relationships with the artists, and I worked with them to produce those works or reproduce them or represent them. So in many cases when I could, I did always work with the artists as much as possible. That's the greatest part of my job. But that does go to show you that there are so many works on boxing out there that this is just a tiny bit of what's out there. There's so much more. Everything that you see in this exhibition has been intentionally decided to be presented here.
I had no idea that many contemporary artists used boxing as one of their subjects. I didn't even know that Keith Haring had a boxing, piece. So a lot of this has been a really delightful surprise for me.
It's so exciting. There's so many more too. I mean, somebody sent me an Amy Sherrill the other day. That's amazing. There's so many more out there, and I could make an exhibition 3 times this size. In the future, perhaps someone wants to invite me to.
I hope.
But I think what one of the works I'd like to highlight for this tour is the George Bellows works. So these are 2 works that we have by George Bellows. George Bellows is probably the best known painter of boxing, American painter of boxing. And believe it or not, he only painted 6 paintings on boxing. So how we mostly know Bellows is through his printmaking and his drawings on boxing that were disseminated in popular media. So he is known as the boxing artist, but maybe not necessarily the boxing painter so much. He made 3 works in the earlier part of his life and 3 works in the later part of his life. This work here is called Club Night. This work is from 1907. This is when this work was made, when he would gain access to a underground boxing club called Sharkey's Athletic Club. So in 1907, Bellows walks from his studio to Sharkey's and positions himself right here in front of the ring and makes a number of drawings. And he would consistently go back and view this. And this is a really big night for everyone. I mean, this is Prohibition era, New York City. People are dressing up. This is probably a setting where one could drink and celebrate a little bit. And so he's painted in this really beautiful, almost, I'd say, old European master style, maybe linking itself to someone like Goya.
Yeah, incredibly dramatic lighting. I love the faces of the crowd.
The faces of the crowd, these sort of ghoulish faces. There's a little bit of a sinister element to what you see here. Yeah, they're a little bit mischievous.
And this is the first time I've seen this perspective, I think, in the show, this kind of perspective of the observer.
Yeah.
In the fight.
You're right. There's a work by Muhammad Ali that I'll show you that also has that perspective of the boxer inside the ring that only he would know. So this is pretty great because you're right. This is this up close and personal kind of relationship to the 2 men, almost like looking up at them, which in a way gives them this kind of godlike quality, right?
Yeah.
Here, moving forward, about 15 years, we have a work by Bellows again, and this work is called Introducing John L. Sullivan.
Okay.
And this central figure here is John L. Sullivan. It's not the boxer. John L. Sullivan is the first heavyweight champion of the world, and he won that title in 1887. So at this picture is depicting a moment in 1923. So years and years and years after he was the champion. So he's much older here. And what's going on is he's being brought out as promotional material, as almost a hype man before this boxing match.
Wow.
So we have the announcer, announcing the presence of John L. Sullivan.
Right.
We have the fixers, perhaps the businessmen, doing their business, talking, having their secrets. And then we have the coaches and the towel boy. So all of these moments that are very much in the ring, but I love that Bellows has chosen to present this perspective of what happens alongside those critical moments of the fight itself.
Absolutely. Because it's a glimpse into the business side of the sport. So much part of it. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, the time of Don King, all the flashy promotion. So it's fun to see this early depiction of that side of things.
I agree. We have, Rashid Johnson. Don King's a big inspiration for his work. So we can go over to the next sections now. In this gallery, we address 2 themes of the sport: women in boxing and movement. So we have the work, the exhibition. Sorry.
Women in boxing? Would you like
women in boxing?
Start with women?
Would you like to talk about women in boxing?
This room and this section is anchored by this work here by Hannah Sloan.
Okay.
She's a great artist who uses assemblage as a technique for her work and her sculpture making practice. And what this work is this is a enlarged Kimisi doll. And Kimisi dolls are spirit dolls. They're prayer dolls.
Okay.
They're used in Central Africa. And in this case, she's made her own Kimisi doll. And she's used a lot of found objects that she's found in junk shops and thrift stores, garage sales, and created them all together. You see a blending of contemporary culture and her exploration of Black American culture. So there's a lot of tropes that we often identify with, like the Jim Crow South, for example, like watermelons. We have a cowrie shell here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have blackberries and blending of religious elements as well. And she calls this her warrior woman.
Okay.
So this is meant to be a symbol of empowerment for women.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot more going on there than just something about boxing. It's goes beyond that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she's even put nails in the work here. I mean, there's a bit of like a painful element to the work that she's demonstrating. It's very much an emotional experience to view this work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for getting us up close. It's incredible.
Yeah. Perhaps, Hannah, since we've been on for a while, I wonder if we should talk about Allegra's work, since this is an new champion and works so closely with, and really helped bring this work into this exhibition. So this is the work by Allegra Pacheco, and maybe you could tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, Allegra Pacheco is from Costa Rica, and these works I saw in her studio in San Jose, and it's appropriate to have them in the movement section of the exhibition, because unlike a lot of the work you've seen so far in the exhibition, she actually maintains and honors the movement of the sport in all her paintings. So technically these paintings are made, they start with her studying footage of boxers fighting. A lot of athletes do study other athletes on videos and films. And so she finds frames that she's interested in, and she manipulates those to adds blur and crops them and changes them digitally, and then uses those as her guides for these paintings. I love also that she keeps the intimate size of the work. That has a little bit to do with how people in Latin America will often have effigies of saints and figures that they worship. And so with these, I'll talk a little bit about fandom and how we worship sports figures. Sometimes their gladiators are almost beyond human, they're God. And so some of them, like the one at the top that you just showed, has an individual fighter, and then the one in the middle has these two fighters kind of locked together. One thing that has always been curious to me about boxing is how intimate it is. And you have two people in a very violent struggle, but they're also, naked from the waist up, and leaning into each other and sweating on each other, and sometimes actually embracing each other. So I love this piece because for me, it really gets you right into the intimacy of the sport, but also the fact that it's never static. They're always dancing around each other. They're always moving. That's about what I can say.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't know all of this about that work. I mean, technically, they're just so exciting to look at. They read like photographs.
Yeah, thank you. Allegra also, she's multiple artist, but when she started doing these, because she trained in a boxing gym and very much community.
Mm-hmm.
There's that aspect. Oh, let's look at
The what?
this one.
The Judy Chicago one.
Yeah, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
So this is a work by Judy Chicago, and Judy Chicago here, she was, she is a very important artist,
one of the pioneering artists of the feminist art movement of the late 60s and early 70s. And her name was Judy Gerwitz. And in 1970, she decided to change her name to Judy Chicago to claim her hometown as her own and as part of her branding and identity. And how she did that was she took out an ad in Artforum magazine in 1970, and she positioned herself inside a boxing ring. And this figure here is her gallerist, aka her coach, and then this person here is her assistant. And so again, like, you know, one of the trainers that's there with her, you know, in her assertion of herself here inside of a space that is commonly occupied by men, which is the art world.
It's such a feminist statement about being a woman. It's an idea I wanted to.
Can you repeat that?
The photographer is Millen, and the idea of photograph originated with him.
The photographer is Jerry McMillan,
yes.
and the idea originated with him, which is...
I don't know if that's true. I don't know, actually, all of the... You might know more than me.
And
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Craig said that. Okay, perhaps it did. I have not spoken to Jerry about this. But I love it. And I know a couple people that own that same t-shirt, and I want one.
Oh, amazing.
So,
Thank you.
it's a little bit, we are having a little bit of connection issues, so I don't hear you super well. So I'm going to keep moving into the big room.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have better connection in this room. So in this room, I'm sorry, visitors, for this. We're doing an Instagram. This room, we address 5 sections. So artist is boxer, sexuality, words and language, race and culture, and fantasy.
Okay.
So the exhibition has now kind of moved away from straightforward, maybe more aesthetic looks at the sport and into more conceptual readings of how artists have used boxing in their work. What I like here, that kind of is one of the crowd favorites, is the work by Muhammad Ali himself in the Artist as Boxer, or Boxer as Artist section here. We have 2 works by Ali. These 2 are from 1967, and these 2 are from 2011.
Oh, I love it.
After he was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Wow.
So you can see this continual loop of boxing going on in his mind. It's like he never, even in his later years, was like he doesn't separate himself from the sport.
And
again, the perspective that only really he can imagine from being inside of that ring all those years. We love that there are happy spectators and also perhaps some displeased ones.
A sea of faces.
Right.
Incredible.
And then this one's really great. I kind of, in a way, almost mimicking the Cleveland Williams fight from '66 that was shot by Neil Leifer.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we see like the personality, the kind of jocular personality of Muhammad Ali coming forward with money in the bank. You know, perhaps a motivating factor for his, you know, persistence to fight after all those years.
I mean, that's a reality for a lot of people. I don't know if you hear me.
We can sort of hear you. You cut in and out a little bit.
I think a reality for a lot of boxers is that they do it for the money. Okay.
And I think in so many ways, boxing has, in so many instances, boxing has been a gateway to new horizons for so many young men and women. It's become a way for them to, you know, earn a living and to move out of a economic class system that they were perhaps born into or fell into. And this is a way to rise above that and through that.
Perfect.
It breaks a barrier, an economic barrier, a societal barrier. And we see that a lot in our race and culture section. And, you know, you really see that through the history of boxing itself. I'd say really, really, truly marked, largely marked by Jack Johnson in his fight in 1909 or 10. I'm sorry. It's been a long 4 months. I can't remember the original date, but this fight for the Great White, against the Great White Hope, where he, you know, knocked him out and really became a symbol of Black hope and Black community in the United States during a heavily segregated time. So, okay, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm going to talk about the sexuality section now.
I'll type instead.
Okay. This is a work by Hernan Bass. He is a Cuban, he's a Cuban American artist. He lives and works in Miami. And what he's done here is this is his conceptual artist from his conceptual artist series. And he's placed his conceptual artist in these absurd situations where the figure is kind of in a way poking fun at the art world and what performance art may or may not be. In this case, the performance is two men inside of a boxing ring a la pillow fight. The boxing match is a pillow fight, and they're positioned on top of a mattress that is the ring, on the floor of the ring, and then the edges of the ring are actually bed posts, and the round cards are a storybook. So he very much is interested in queer culture and queer love and the kind of intimacy that happens between two men and groups of men. And he's investigating that here in this work in sort of a tongue-in-cheek kind of way.
And she just commented and said that she loves this Hannah Bass. And we just got a comment that says, I love the whole show. So happy to see this live.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Again, our sexuality section, this is work by Moises Salazar. Moises is, again, boxing comes up a lot in Moises' work. And in this case, it's called juramento, which means an oath. So this is a wedding portrait. And we see these two figures, two boxers, that are in a way sanctified. Religious iconography comes up a lot in their work. And I love the texture and the materiality being used. This glitter and fur and sequins and rhinestones.
And it's a great piece for Valentine's Day.
It's a great piece for Valentine's Day. Maybe we should highlight that one on our stories or something. You know, the famous work by Michael Hall's band, Warhol and Basquiat. Again, there was a very strong connection between these two artists. And very, very close friendship and admiration that only they knew. One of my favorite works in the show is Catherine Bradford's Two Boxers Embracing Under Lights. It's called Boxers Under Lights from 2018. Fabulous moment of that intimacy, like what you were saying earlier, Hannah, about two bodies sharing space. A very close space, and how an artist might push that forward. Catherine Bradford is a queer artist who often depicts some scenes of queer love and queer communication. I'm going to talk about our words and language section.
Okay.
We have three works in this section, Ed Ruscha, Gary Simmons, and Mary Ward. And I really love to talk about the work by Gary Simmons, because unless you read the material, you might not understand what this work is. This work says Boston Tar Baby on it. And Boston Tar Baby was a moniker for the boxer Sam Langford. And Sam Langford was practicing in the beginning of the 20th century. And he's the greatest boxer that you'll never know. And he was kept out of the top fights because of being racially discriminated upon. He was kept out by the white men and white businessmen who controlled the sport and continue to do so today. But what Simmons has chosen to do is pay tribute to this boxer, and in his stylistic choice, which you see often in his work, of this kind of fleeting texture, this old-timey text, maybe indicative of text from the era, and it's kind of fading away, dripping away, maybe being rained upon.
So we had a question. Are there any plans for this exhibition to travel?
My favorite question. No, at this point we didn't plan for a travel, but I've had a lot of inquiries, and perhaps we can rebuild it if someone is interested enough in bringing it to their city. So call me, and I will talk to you about that. Because I do think that there could be a version of this that goes on the road, very much so.
Yeah, Hannah just responded with, we need this show in Los Angeles.
I mean, it would be really great. It would be great at the Geffen, so, I'll join a bird.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, no, it does not have plans to travel. We had our venue in New York and in Long Island. It was not the same show. But, a version of that show has already been kind of addressed in those cities. We have this work by Neri Ward also in our words and language section. This says People's Choice and Neri Ward's signature shoelace. From his signature shoelace series and the way he makes work.
So we're talking about the Neri Ward over here.
This work is pretty great in person, so I don't know if it's really translating so well on through the phone, but
It's translating pretty well.
Can I get a close up of the shoe laces hanging down? Oh yeah, so each one of the strands is, thank you for doing that.
you can kind of understand what's happening here.
Fantastic.
So what it says People's Choice. And what this phrase was it was embroidered on the back of a robe given to Muhammad Ali by Elvis Presley. And what's funny about this is Muhammad Ali was not the people's choice. He was the people's champ. But Elvis's team got it wrong when they made the robe. And what's so great about this story is that Ali loved it. He loved the mistake, and he embraced it. And he wore the robe, and it became a good luck charm for him. And he won a couple of his matches. And this was happening in the mid-1970s. So this is after both of them had kind of reached their heights of fame and were in sort of a later moment in their lives. And it's just a great, I think, highlight of human error and a tribute to boxing history.
And then we have a question. Is there any reference to Dylan's Hurricane in the show from Craig Krull Gallery?
No, I don't know what that is. So, Greg, call me. I don't know what that
We'll
is.
tell you. Bob Dylan had a song about a boxer who was
Bob Dylan had a song about a boxer
imprisoned for a murder.
Who was imprisoned for a murder.
Sounds great.
Unjustly.
Sounds like a great piece of history. No, I don't know about that one. Emil Griffin did. He was in a fight with Benny Paret, and Benny Paret was knocked out unconscious and never woke up. So that's like sort of one of the big moments of like death in boxing that we do highlight in this exhibition, but otherwise, no. There's someone here I want to meet. So.
Okay, is there a last piece that we want to talk about before we head off? Lonnie Holly.
This is by Lonnie Holly. This is a great piece. This is a work, but Lonnie Holly is an amazing artist and a poet and just an inspirational figure. And what this work is it's called Waiting for the Bell to Toll. And this is about his own personal struggles. This is he was an artist who had a very hard childhood and was mistreated and almost actually like in a child labor camp. And what this piece symbolizes is his continual fight for his own livelihood, and the ladder symbolize upward mobility, the boxing bag, again, this consistent fight that's going on, the bell, tolling in the beginning and at the end, kind of marking the cyclicality of life. It's just a very poetic piece, and one that we're very proud to be able to show here. He's an artist that we just so much adore, and he's from the South, and we are a Southern institution, so we can't deny that history.
And do we have
the fantasy section? So I'm going to finalize it here at our fantasy section. This is one of my favorite sections of the show. You see lots of depictions, and maybe you can go closer and just kind of see. You see depictions of, like religious iconography. In this case, Ed Paschke really liked Eastern imagery and kind of mixing it here with the lucha libre, blending of cultures. You see images of like death and religion. Fausto as Ali, as Saint San Sebastian, the martyr. We have Amy Hill's presentation of like a Victorian painting, but an a la boxer and like contemporary garments.
Love that.
We have this great and humorous work by Tyson, or it's by Michael Comte, but it's Tyson with a dove. A really great work, a surrealist work by Fletcher Martin.
Wow.
From 1936.
Beauty.
American surrealist, really great, just otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love this work here by Scott Covert. Scott Covert travels around the United States with paper in the back of his car, and he finds graveyards that are interesting to him, and gravestones of famous figures. And in this case, we've chosen one of Jack Dempsey and another of Sugar Ray Robinson.
Oh, wow.
And then he rubs, these are gravestone rubbings, and then he decorates on top.
That's an unexpected.
That's
unexpected, Jeffrey
unexpected,
Gibson.
yes.
So again, we go to the Jeffrey Gibson, kind of bringing the room, center focus of the room, and maybe a great place to end. But these are, Jeffrey Gibson is a Native artist who explores his identity as both being Native and queer. And the boxing bags represent that continual fight for these marginalized sectors of society.
What is some of the text tags?
What does some of the text say?
Oh, in this case, power, black power, yellow power, pink power, blue power. It's really beautiful.
I want to mention here that Jeff Gibson's solo show at the Biennale this year is coming to Los Angeles. It will be exhibited at the Broad in May. So that's something to look forward to here in Los Angeles.
Great, we love to hear that.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's been a pleasure to be with everybody today.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical issues at the start, but we really are taking so much time with everyone and showing us this amazing show. Thank
you again, and I really appreciate your participation and Craig's participation. And we couldn't do a show like this without amazing artists, amazing curators and advocates and galleries and collectors. So thank you to everyone who made this possible, and donors and sponsors and all of the people who make this museum possible. So thank you to everyone. This totally takes a village, and of course the artists. Of course the artists.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.